Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I gotta tell you that of all the little sayings and little stories and little laughs that we share at the beginning of the program, this one by a friend of mine, Sam Elliott, actor, is the best. Listen to this. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, Buttercup, but my rights don't end where your feelings begin. Amen. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, good morning. And a good morning to you. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and thanks for tuning us in again on a Tuesday, May 7th. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a great opportunity to get all the tires you need for safe summertime driving. Don't forget to stop in and see them today. And, of course, don't forget, along with our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, our advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well done.
As always, well done. Thank you, my dear friend. And right now we're going to scoot to the weather forecast quickly. And the weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South 600 west of Hebron. Hello, Roger. They have got all the garden and lawn equipment you need to get things going for this year. The best of tools and equipment at K&R Rental. 256 South 600 west of Hebron. Right there. You couldn't miss it if you wanted to. Right on the Burley-Paul Highway. And the number to call if you're not sure what you need, explain it to them. They'll tell you. 678-3122. K&R Rental. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be another nice day here in the valley, maybe a few thunderstorms by this afternoon. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Looking at partly to mostly sunny skies for today, a little bit on the breezy side. Winds are going to be picking up to about 15 miles an hour. Afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms are a possibility, about a 20% chance. Expecting a high of 68 tonight, 30% chance of showers. Mostly cloudy skies in the overnight hours with a low of 40. By tomorrow, partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 65 with an overnight low of 42. By Thursday, partly sunny skies, high of 62. Looks like close to 70 for Friday. And then as we get on into the weekend, sunny skies, highs are going to be in the mid to upper 70s, possibly 81 by Monday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
I love it. Thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. And don't forget our friends at K&R Rental. Again, I want to mention to you, it's time to think about gardening. It's time to think about sprucing up the lawn. They've got all the equipment, the rototillers, the mowers, everything for you at K&R Rental. 256 South 600 west of Hebron, right there on the Burley-Paul Highway, 678 888-317-3122. Hey, by the way, don't forget Thursday, coming up this week, sale day at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. Merv May, Kay Droggy, and Lance Udy at the sale that works for you. And the number to call for cattle consignments and sale information, 678-9411. The sale that does work for you, Burley Livestock Sale Yard, sale on Thursday at 10:30. Don't you miss it. Also, quickly, I want to give a great big shout-out and a thank you to our friends at Daryl's Cleaners. Hello, Kevin. Hello, Cindy and the whole crew. You know, they just absolutely don't get the praise they should. They make everybody look good or better. Yeah, I mean, you take your Rumply Crumplies in there and you go down and get them, and wow, you feel like $1,000,000. Anywhere and everywhere you go, your clothes look sharp. Absolutely. Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. They are the best. We are anticipating, and I highlight that word a little bit, anticipating that at 9:30 this morning we're going to have United States Senator Mike Crapo on our program, and I've got a whole list of questions to get into. We think we're going to have a full segment with him, but there again, we'll have to wait and see. And if time permits, I'm going to be accepting outside phone calls. If time permits, I'll accept outside phone calls. But that's going to be coming up at 9:30 this morning with United States Senator Mike Crapo. Right now, I'd like to remind you about Ramsey Heating and Electric. First of all, I want to ask Wheels over there. Wheels, how are we coming in? A little bit fuzzy on my end. How does it sound over there to you?
To me, it's sounding all right.
Okay, good.
There's anything wrong.
No, keep a monitor on it, old buddy. You're the man in charge, okay?
Well, do so.
It does sound, maybe if you backed off on it a little bit, just a little less in my headsets, just a touch, not very much, that might be the cause of the problem, okay? Appreciate that. Old Wheels does a great job at our studio, and we certainly thank him for everything. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. I urge you to call them because they do have all your heating and now all your cooling and electrical needs. Over 6 decades of serving you. Absolutely with the best. And the most knowledgeable of people, too. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. They start early in the morning at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Good folks. All right, now with all that being said, it's your turn to start the ball rolling. We've got a lot of great stories to talk about this morning, first of which, Robert Mueller, William Barr, they are in supposedly the Democratic target site to the Democrats demanding that they come and testify, or if you don't, you're going to be in contempt of Congress. Little man, in many ways, Jerry Nadler is leading the charge saying, why, we're going to go after them. We're going to make sure that they are here, or they're going to be in contempt of Congress. Even some of the Democrats yesterday, and even some of the talk show hosts and people on CNN and MSNBC, they were saying such stupid, really not very intellectual things like put the handcuffs on Bill Barr, the Attorney General. For what? You know, nobody on the television or on radio interviews has ever turned the thing back into their court and said, well, wait a minute, you want to put them in jail, you want to lock them up for what? What did they do wrong? Well, and they'll bluster up like Phineas T. Bluster on Howdy Doody. They don't have an answer because they're not smart enough. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. How's our Robin doing?
The Robin's fine. What can I do for you, Keith?
Why don't they quit bothering the Attorney General about that and get busy on immigration? Isn't that what we're there for?
Oh, Keith, you just summed it up in very few words. The idiocy and incompetency, both those words, idiocy and incompetency of the Democrats trying to turn over rocks and find anything else except dirt and angleworms is absolutely ridiculous. They're taking the time away from the American public, not doing their job, and I'm going to mention that to Mike Crapo. It's absolutely ridiculous, and every one of them ought to be recalled and thrown out of office. I'm fed up with this stupidity.
I was watching on TV last night about the Rio Grande, and I think it's below El Paso or somewhere there's not a wall. And these people are trying to cross that thing with every conveyance you can think of. They take plastic bags and put air in them and try to use them for flotation and everything else, because this time of the year that river is running pretty deep.
Oh, absolutely.
And they got this border patrol out there going out there and rescuing these people. And guess what? Instead of taking them back where they came from, they're putting them on American soil.
Yeah.
Is that right?
No, the incompetency of what we're doing is so ridiculous. Listen to this, and then I've got another call waiting. Think about this. An illegal alien crosses our border in Texas alone every single minute of the day. Think about that. Just in Texas alone in one location.
Yeah, and can you imagine if every relative that you have came to your house to live? Would that be a phenomenon?
No, it'd be a tragedy. That's what it would be if it were my relatives.
and let's look at your house as in the whole United States.
Yeah.
We're putting these people in there so quick. Got no place to put them.
That's right, and at our cost. And I don't know about you, but my human kindness is done. It's exasperated. I don't want to have anybody else here. Keith, I always appreciate your early morning call. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless you. Thanks.
I'm looking forward to seeing you.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, Denny's Restaurant. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley, and the other location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Oh, my goodness. Have you had some of those strawberry vanilla crepes? Man, I just tell you what, they'll knock your boots off delicious with hash browns and bacon or sausage and eggs. Oh, it is good eating. Everything on the menu delicious at Denny's Restaurant. Yes, it's true. It's America's Diner. You stop in and see the great folks serving you today at 611 North Overland in Burley, Denny's Restaurant, and it is the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Thank you very much. Real quick, I also want to acknowledge that I got to get back over to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Had some things come up to where I couldn't make the last appointment, and man, I miss it. I mean, the workouts and the exercises absolutely helping me get back into shape. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell, what a guy. What a nice guy, and all of his staff. So polite, so helpful, and so knowledgeable. They know all the exercises, and of course they've got the hydrotherapy pool, everything right there at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. The number to call, make an appointment today, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Caller, you've been so patient. Good morning. Caller, good morning.
They can barely hear you.
Well, Wheels has got to run the game there quicker than he did. Go ahead, Tony, you're on the air. Go ahead, Tony. Wheels, something is wrong with the phone line this morning. Why can we not have the caller hear us, please? Help me out on this quickly.
I'm not sure the dials are set the same and everything.
Well, you better check it out with Gina then, if you would, please, and get that caller on the air, please, right away. And while we're waiting for that to be fixed, we'll also tell you real quick about our friends at Rain for Rent. Don't forget, wonderful people. Jake and the whole crew over there, they're a Reinke Diamond dealer, and I urge you to give them a call. They absolutely have everything you need for this irrigation season, so take care of it by calling 438-5065 or stop over to 134 South 600 West of Paul, and that's Rain for Rent. Dedicated sales and service staff serving you, serving the key word, and also check on those telemetry annex boxes for any pivot. You can set up and direct anything through your smartphone. Absolutely. Rain for Rent. Good folks serving you. Wheels, did we get the problem solved?
We're still working on it. I'm going to have Tony call back in, and then we're going to try to resituate everything.
All right. Please do immediately. And right now, also, I'd like to acknowledge the fact that calls will be welcome and appreciated at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One of the things that was suggested on how to handle this thing with Congress and Little Jerry Nadler and the rest of the Democrats, and it's a very simple word: ignore them. Ignore. Absolutely ignore them. Let them stew in their own juices. Don't testify. Don't appease them. If anyone or any group should be held in contempt, it should be our own Congress for their ineptitudes. But in this case, especially with Nadler and the Democrats just out there with big rakes and muck raking up more problems, ignore them. Really, think about it. Judge Napolitano was on TV earlier this morning, and there's a lot of things to be said about just ignore them. What are your thoughts? Give me a call. Do we have the problem fixed or not over there, Wheels?
Yes, sir, we do.
All right. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning. Speak to me.
She's there, sir.
Go ahead, caller. Please, quickly. I've got dead air. Talk to me.
Okay. They want us to do this to Mueller and Barr, but didn't one of them say, and I can't remember which one, say, but it's against the law. I can't do that. So if he does it, he breaks the law. So if they force him to do it, and he doesn't do it, then they need to go to jail for trying to make him break the law.
Well, you are spot on, caller, and I'll say this. As far as giving them a blank slate of names on the redactions that were in that report, they can't do that. These people that they redacted their names were redacted for one simple reason. They were not indicted, and they cannot be given out as free information to the press or Congress or anyone. That's not legal. And for, like you said, Attorney General Bill Barr to go ahead and release that information would be a crime. He cannot do that. So to the Democrats that are not smart enough to read the laws and understand the laws, they need to go sit in the corner and just be quiet.
Or be arrested for trying to force him to do it.
You've got it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, caller. Appreciate that. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead and Wheels. We've got tremendous feedback coming down the line, please. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. I do not know what happened to our equipment, but Wheels, you got to help me over there, buddy. I don't understand why they're not coming on the air.
I'm trying. I believe that maybe Tony has a bad phone line or something.
Well, it evidently is more than that. Get him on the air, please, Wills. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. While I'm waiting for my good friend Tony from Twin Falls, I want to remind you about Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Don't forget, they take care of all animals, big or small. They really want to make sure they all have healthy conditions. And whether you got little bitty kitty cats or a great big herd of dairy cattle, they are there to serve you. So please get a hold of them today if you have any health problems with your animals. Ark Animal Hospital with Dr. Bill and the whole crew in Heyburn, and the number 678-1177, where they do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Let's try the phone line again. Good morning, you're on the air.
I couldn't get him, sir. He wasn't even responding back to me.
All right, you please run that phone line. I appreciate it. Calls are welcome. Please let somebody else try to get in. Sometimes I think the equipment is just full of little gremlins and Grinches, but let's go ahead and try our lines again. Please give me a call at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to talk to you about a disgusting loser, and no, it's not this time Hillary Clinton. So we'll talk about that in just a moment. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric, and they, of course, teaming up with Lennox for your home comfort systems. Don't forget they're offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. All you have to do is call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 or visit them online, ramseysonline.com. See the dealer for details, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Wheels, do we have another caller there waiting? I'm beginning to wonder what's happening out there in Radio Land this morning. Wheels, can you hear me? There's the caller coming in. Good morning. Nice to have you here.
Well, is this Lonesome George?
No, this isn't Lonesome George. This is Teed Off Zeb. So go ahead, please.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to kind of help fill in there because it seems like nobody's either awake or...
Well, I'm sure we're having some equipment problems, and I don't understand. We're getting an awful lot of echo on my line, not necessarily on the air, and I don't know what's happened or what's changed, but I want it fixed, and that's what we need to do. So go ahead with your point, Keith.
Well, we were talking about this Rio Grande River and how these... Hello?
Yeah, you're there, please.
Oh, okay. But this Rio Grande River is at its highest point, and these people are out there trying to, the Border Patrol, that is, try to rescue these people. And when you see some of the devices these people have rigged up to try to cross,
yeah,
taken a little baby,
yeah,
and with them, you know, they must be willing to sacrifice a child because... that is like suicide.
Well, the way that they're crossing on some of these little pontoon floating devices and swimming the river and everything. The problem is, Keith, these people, everybody goes, oh, those poor people, they want to come to America for a better life. I'm not going to go there anymore. These people, I've been told and coerced that, boy, you better hurry up. If you want to go in and break the border, now's the time before things toughen up. And there's just an surge of these people that want to come over here, and a lot of them want to come over here not for the jobs, not for opportunities, but to get the freebies that this country will provide them.
You know, and moving just a little bit further away down south, Venezuela is getting so bad that people are crossing over into Cambodia.
Yeah, not Cambodia, Colombia. Yeah.
Colombia, and there again, they got people there trying to take all their money and everything and all their possessions. They'll give up everything just to get out of Venezuela.
Yeah, well, right now, Venezuela is a special case of problems, and I don't know what's going to happen. I will say this. One of the people that was our videographer for the television show that I had with Johnny Yu, Cowboy Country, he is from Venezuela, and Caracas, as a matter of fact, where the bulk of the problem is. And his brother, and his dad now live here in the United States. And I'm trying to get through to his brother, who goes down every 6 months, I believe, back to Venezuela, and find out more about what the problem is firsthand, first person. So as soon as I get him scheduled, I'll get him on the air. Hey, Keith, got to run, got to do another commercial. Thank you very much for calling back. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I'm waiting for your phone call, I want to remind you, too, about Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. Oh, my goodness, they do a wonderful job. All the equipment rentals and, of course, all the retail equipment sales for everything that you need to lift, dig, push, carry, whatever, all the tough tasks. They've got the equipment, the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. They got all the Bobcats. They got all the mini excavators. They've got it all. They've got it all at all three locations. Barry Equipment and Rental in Burley, 159 West Highway 30, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa location for Barry Equipment and Rental. Stacey Abrams is the person that I'm going to dub as the poorest, most despicable loser, at least today. Stacey Abrams, if you'll remember, was the black lady that was running for governor of Georgia. Well, she lost. And she lost big. I mean, lost about by over 50,000 votes. But she was the one that came back and said, I didn't lose. I didn't lose the election. It was taken from me because of voter suppression. Now, she's been throwing these allegations around, as is typical of the Democrats, whether it's Hillary or whether it's Stacey Abrams or the defeated Democrat down in Florida. All of these people have always had an excuse. Oh, well, we didn't lose. We had the election stolen from us. And she was claiming that she was beaten in Georgia because of voter suppression, especially black voter suppression. But you know what? There's been some studies made down there in Georgia, and it looks like, according to the studies, that more black voters voted this year than, or I should say last year for the election, than in previous elections. And then the Wall Street Journal, a very reputable newspaper, the Wall Street Journal also did a study of possible voter suppression, and they basically came out in a newspaper story, I believe it was yesterday or it might have been last Friday, and they said that voter suppression was absolutely a myth. Not true at all. Some of these people were making claims that the people that were running the polling places were throwing out just the black votes. And you know as well as I do, that's absolutely ridiculous. Some of them were claiming that they were throwing out votes that they knew, and how they knew, I don't know, were maybe for conservatives. This is ridiculous. And the claims of voter suppression are nothing more than spoiled brats because they lost. Look at what's going on in the case of Hillary Clinton, coming out and just basically saying that the election was stolen from her. No, it wasn't. The laws and regulatory methods of our polling and our voting came through and worked again. Hillary Clinton was not to be the President of the United States. Thank goodness for us. And here, now going into the third year of her defeat, she's still coming out as the world's sorest loser, along with Stacey Abrams, and saying that the election was stolen from her. What are your thoughts on this? Give me a call, please, 436. Besides that, I want to check the phones and see if they're working any better. So give us a call quickly at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. While I am waiting for your call, well, I'm just going to go ahead and take your call. There you are. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, you got through okay.
Well, okay, I guess I figured it out. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations. A equals XYZ squared or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Stacey Abrams, she made a comment just after the election that she lost, that was not taken from her, she made a comment that Trump's economy was so bad that truck drivers are having to buy their own trucks.
I'm laughing because I remember that. Go ahead and expound on it a little bit.
Well, that's what's called entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
That's when you have your own small business. Economy's good. You can have your own small business. I owned my own truck. I know.
But, Doug, wait a minute. What's the negative on that? I mean, what is wrong with owning and starting at the ground up, if you will, one truck and possibly escalating that to maybe 3, and then getting drivers to work for you, and then having a fleet of trucks? Isn't that capitalism personified?
Exactly. That's exactly it. When the economy's bad, truck drivers can buy their own. Well, they do. They really risk a lot when they do. But most of them work for someone else that's already established. But you take Handy Truck Lines. Mr. Handy, the guy that started a long time ago when I was just a little one. And he only had 3 or 4 trucks. Now look at him. He's over Utah, Idaho, because he bought his own truck, went to work, and expanded it.
Yeah, see, there's the whole crux of any success story. He started a business. He worked hard. He worked harder. And he developed and grew his business into being one of the most respected in the Northwest. And I'm so glad you brought them up as an example because, you know, when it came time for the sponsorship of our legislative update, Clay Handy and his staff jumped right in again for the second year and took that over. I have the utmost respect for their ability and also the way they run their business.
Exactly. And you look at the truck drivers there. They've got truck drivers that have been working for Handy's for years. They go to work there and they retire from there because it's such a great place to work. You know, and it's a local business. But that's this Abram. She has no idea how to make a paycheck, earn a paycheck, let alone write a paycheck.
But isn't that the problem, though, when you look at the encompassing, whether it's both sides of the aisle, Republican or Democrat? Here you have politicians, and you can really point your finger at the Republicans and the Democrats en masse on this, that are politicians. They've never really taken a shovel and gone out and tilled the soil, many of them. They don't understand what it's like to have somebody working under them and create the benefits and have the insurance for the families and make sure that the paychecks are good and all this kind of thing and grow the business. They don't know. They don't have the concept of entrepreneurship, but yet they're the ones that dictate how to run it.
Yeah, they're the ones in charge with $1 trillion budgets, but they couldn't budget a lemonade stand.
And then you have the idiocy, and that's what it was. That's what it was, and I will not back up and apologize for this. You have the idiocy of Barack Obama coming out a couple of years ago and saying, well, Zeb Bell, you didn't start that business. Somebody else helped you. No, that's not true, Doug. I started this on my own 18 years ago. And the first paycheck I had, honestly, I'm not making this up, was $295.
You get to draw a paycheck?
Yeah, well, back in those days I didn't. It all went to our dear friends that own the radio station. But what I'm saying is you've got to have a starting point, and nobody helped me do a doggone thing.
Exactly. And what's that gentleman's name? I can't remember, that's on from Indianapolis.
Oh, Dave Bego.
Yeah, that has the cleaning service.
Yeah.
And he had that one politician tell him if he wasn't in politics, he wouldn't know what he would do to make a living. And he was a lawyer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the attitude they take. They have no idea how to live other than off of us.
Well, it's the leech factor, as very well stated by you just now, the leech factor. Oh, you made some money. Well, we'll take it and we'll apply it to this.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. That's how they do it.
I got to run.
We've got another caller. Let's see if this one can get through.
I hope so, man. I tell you, I rubbed, get 2 paper cups and a string. Maybe that'll work. I don't know.
Yeah. Yesterday, so I get at least 8 seconds today.
There you go, buddy. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Take care of our seniors, everybody. Let's do what we can to support them. Go eat lunch there. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Caller, I'll be right there, I promise. I just got to tell everybody about Dino's Septic Service. What a wonderful business serving you. Septic tank pumping and backhoe services, liquid waste removal, sewer and sink drain lines clean, mainline irrigation installation and repair. All of this and so much more. And they've expanded. They've expanded their business to better serve more people. Wow. Call them and check it out. Fast, fair, friendly service. I know they've worked for us, and they do a wonderful job. 436-6526. And Dino Septic Service also at 678-1638. Please get a hold of them today, and they'll pull in your yard, and with that great big truck that says Smells Cargo on the way. They are the best. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Are Doug and I the only ones that know the way?
Well, I don't know about that, Keith. Go ahead and make your point, please.
Okay. Doug brought up something, and Doug is very, very sharp, I think. But anyway, the thing of it is, if one guy, even in these good times, wants to go out and buy him a truck, I'll tell you what, brother, he has got a long road ahead of him, because of these regulations and everything that they have, that it makes a one-man operation almost impossible in the trucking business.
Yeah, but
electronic logbooks that they have now are very expensive, and they take a lot of attention, and frankly, they limit the drivers too much.
I think you're spot on there. There's too many regulatory means and methods. I think you're exactly spot on. But then on the other hand, I would not discourage anyone in any field of endeavor not to get involved on their own and to try to say they're going to start their own business. I think that's part of being an entrepreneur. I think it's a great part of capitalism, and I absolutely would stand up for them in their effort.
Well, at one time, Zeb, I had 3 trucks hauling cars, and I never did really make any money at it, but it was a very good, convenient thing. It got my cars to me on time, and, so it was a good situation. And I love that industry, but I feel sorry for these people who start out. Somebody puts them in a truck, a brand new truck, and they really haven't had an experience with that, and so they have this money coming in, and as it comes in, they just spend it.
Yeah.
And then one day this truck gets 100,000 miles on it, and they need some new tires. I don't have any money.
Well, that's not the case in all cases, and you know that. You can't lump everything together in the worst scenario, but I just absolutely am an advocate of anybody and everyone that wants to start their own business and put forth the effort and the work and the long hours. You can succeed if you try. Keith, thank you for your call. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
You bet,
calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I think we're going to go to the weather right now. Hopefully that works, and we'll be able to tell you more about what the forecast is going to be over the next couple of days. And our weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. Don't forget the number to call. Find out more about a hearing screening, and you can trust your hearing health to Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. 312-0957. Right now, here's the weather forecast.
It's going to be another nice day here in the valley, maybe a few thunderstorms by this afternoon. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Looking at partly to mostly sunny skies for today, a little bit on the breezy side. Winds are going to be picking up to about 15 miles an hour. Afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms are a possibility, about a 20% chance. Expecting a high of 68 tonight, 30% chance of showers. Mostly cloudy skies in the overnight hours with a low of 40. By tomorrow, partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 65 with an overnight low of 42. By Thursday, partly sunny skies, high of 62. Looks like close to 70 for Friday. And then as we get on into the weekend, sunny skies, highs are going to be in the mid to upper 70s, possibly 81 by Monday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebra Durant.
Great job, Gene. Appreciate it. And don't forget, our weather this hour brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Again, the very best at helping you with your hearing health. Please get a hold of them for an appointment today at 312-0957. I have a story here that it makes me so upset to think that people would kowtow to negativity and bigots and haters of our country and our society. God bless America. God bless America is a song that we open with every day on this program. I will not change it. I've had people complain. I've had people say that, oh, well, that's outdated. They don't like God Bless America. That's their own opinion. They can have that. They don't like Kate Smith. They can have that opinion. I still think she's one of the greatest singers ever in the history of the United States. But recently in Pennsylvania, the Freedom from Religion perverts, and I'm going to call them perverts because they disgust me. The Freedom from Religion perverts attacked a Pennsylvania elementary school with a letter demanding, this is what's so absolutely phony about this, with a letter demanding that they stop singing God Bless America. And these Freedom from Religion perverts said that if they didn't stop singing God Bless America, they were going to sue. Well, on what basis? Well, the Freedom from Religion perverts said that singing God Bless America is akin to being a prayer. And so they demanded the separation of church and state, and they demanded that the school not have the children sing God Bless America. And you know what happened? The school, the administration, they cowardly put their head down in the sand and said, oh, we're so sorry, we won't sing it again. That is disgusting. What they should have done is got everybody together and taped a singing of God Bless America and sent it to the Freedom from Religion perverts so they could keep it on file with a little letter that said, don't bother us again. Crawl under your rock and stay there. And some of the attorneys and judges that I heard from on this case said the same thing. Ignore the liberal sleaze. Ignore them. And in most cases, they'll go away. And if they don't, there are plenty of people out there, plenty of groups of attorneys ready to stand up and spit in the eye of the Freedom from Religion perverts. But to just cave in and say, oh, my goodness, why, we got a letter, and they said they don't like our children in our schools singing God Bless America, so we better quit. Oh, their hair is on fire. That's not the American spirit. That's not what made this country great. By running away and saying, oh, I'm sorry, don't hit me. Don't bully me anymore. I promise I'll stop. It's about time that this school and others in other circumstances and other stories all stood up and looked these other perverts in the eye and said, no, go away. We're not going to listen to you. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please, I'd like to hear your opinion on this. I've had people say, well, we don't like the pledge. We don't like the God Bless America. Well, that's fine. I'm sure you can find another radio station that's on that might play Barry Manilow music so you can sit back and smoke your marijuana, whatever you want to do. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with the home comfort systems, and they are offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. All you got to do is find out more information by calling Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, serving you. Calls welcome, please. I want to test out and see if our equipment is working. 436-2244, 1-866-927-45. Did I say 927? I did. 927-4587. Sometimes we say the numbers a million times, and then all of a sudden you go, did I say that number right? Give me a call, please. I'd like to hear from you. Also in the news, Bernie Sanders. This was humorous, to say the least, that Bernie Sanders was in a TV interview. I believe it was with CNN. It might have been MSNBC. I could be wrong on that, but either of those two networks. And he was asked to describe his affection to socialism. You know what Bernie Sanders did? He kind of bumbled and stumbled for a minute, and I saw the interview. And he couldn't and he wouldn't come up with an answer for his description or affection to socialism. He said his answer basically was too long for a TV interview. We'll talk about a coward. And here's a guy that supposedly is an avowed socialist, and he said, well, the answer I would give you on a TV interview is just basically too long. Well, let me help you, Bernie. I'll give you a little assistance. Socialism would mean that we would all be suffering under severe high taxation. Socialism would mean taking more of my and the audience's money, just taking it. Socialism would be in control of what you might want to call health care, but it isn't. It's far, far less. Socialism would be in control of the banks. Socialism would be in control of education. Socialism, the list of negatives goes on and on. That could have all fit into a 30-second soundbite from Bernie Sanders, but he wasn't smart enough. Or maybe he was being cagey and didn't want to put himself on the string for his possible nomination to be president of the United States. He didn't want to have that video sound clip stating what he thought his affection to socialism was. And the commentators and the people that are doing the interviews are not pressing these people. They're not pressing Cory Booker on his comments about creating confiscation for guns and a national license to be held by every gun owner. They're not pressing the Kamala Harris's about her severe higher taxes with the money to go to green energy and other loves of her life, like, let's say Medicare for all, single payer. They don't press the issue. They really don't push these people into making them give a viable answer. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget all the best tires. All the tires you need for your pickup, your SUV, your horse trailer, boat trailer, everything. all the tires are at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Don't forget to stop in and see them today. 7 locations, easy to find, easy to get into, with the best of service to you. On sale right now for your pickups and SUVs, the Open Country MT. Ooh, outstanding traction, aggressive tread design. Stop in and check it out. Along with the best in brake service and front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and more. But service always reigns supreme. You stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, quickly, good morning, you're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Zeb. What I wanted to call you about this morning was about Mueller and Barr. We've got thousands of these people that are in this country. We don't know who they are. They're doing nothing but causing us problems. What are these Democrats getting paid for? They are up there to protect us, our country, our safety, and everything else. They should be fired.
Well, it's not just the Democrats. Let's be fair. We've got absolutely a Congress of ineptness. That's what it is. And I'm fed up with nobody taking the reins, nobody standing up on a chair and demanding that something get done. And I think you'll agree with me on that.
Oh, I do. How do we get rid of it?
It's called the vote coming up. Take care of it. Let's get them out of there. Tony, I got another call. God bless you. I'm so glad you called back. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
All right, buddy. Caller, quickly, I've got about 45 seconds left.
Okay, I think I can say it real quick. I think the problem in America is we have spoiled everybody so much that they don't even realize how fortunate they are, and you're jealous of everybody else's good fortune and thinking that you were missed out. Well, you know how you get to be a good fortune person? Get off of your rear end and go to work.
You know what?
Be a citizen that loves this country.
You know what, Chris? I think I'm going to take that line off of our tape of this program, and I'm going to use that. Absolutely. Get up and go to work. God bless you. Thank you for your call. Thank you. All righty. Nice lady right there. All of my callers, thank you very much. Sorry we had a little bit of impedance getting some of you on the air earlier. I think we got the problem solved, I hope, and we're going to be back in about 7 minutes with more Zeb at the Ranch. Don't go away. Good morning, and welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. And I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor that we're extremely proud of for all they do for the communities. And that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires. Stop in and see them today, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, Wheels has got this good word for Western Waste.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, thank you very much, Western Waste Services. Always at your disposal. You know, you need a dumpster to maybe clean out the garage or the basement or my office, a big dumpster. Anyway, they've got dumpsters in various sizes, and whatever you're cleaning out and throwing away, they can drop one off. You fill it up, they'll come get it. Don't forget, these are really good folks serving you. Always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, 734 434-6969. Want to remind you, too, our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, of course, with the home comfort systems. And don't forget they are offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. All you got to do to find out about it is call Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459 or go online at ramseysonline.com. See dealer for details, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. One more quick word before we go to our guest, and I want to say a great big thank you to Joel Heward, his family, and his staff for all they do for the community and all they do for serving families here in southern Idaho. And, of course, I urge you to give them a call. All of us should have the information, the pre-information on arranging funerals the way we would like to be remembered. And with the pre-information on these funerals, please call Joel Heward today at 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. And, of course, always treating you with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Right now, one of our favorite guests on this program, and he's been on the show many times. He's a nationally recognized expert on foreign policy and energy, and just looking forward to having his comments here this morning. Good morning, Dan Perkins. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Zeb, how are you?
Not too bad. You know, there's so much that I wanted to talk to you about this morning. In Wheels, there's a little bit of feedback on the line. But I want to start things off with Venezuela. On one of the information sheets that was sent to me regarding having you on the program, here was a country that was really the apple in the eye of many countries because of their wealth, because of the status of their people that lived in that country. The oil business had made them extremely rich. They were having a great agricultural program. But Venezuela absolutely has been flip-flopped because of socialism. And I guess my build-up to this is, what in the world is the matter with us, the United States, with the so-called being led by the nose by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, and others, to think that socialism is a good thing for America?
Well, always a pleasure to be with you. You always ask such great questions, and I appreciate that because you challenge me. I think the answer to your question is that the Democrats have been in control of the education system in this country for probably close to 40 years. And so we have graduated many generations of expiring Democrats who have no idea where they live, what the country stands for, where it came from, and where it should be going. If you don't know why we fought the Second World War, or why we fought the First World War, or why we fought the Civil War, or why we fought the Revolutionary War, because the classroom teachers have decided it's not important to teach that, we are taking away our culture and our history and our heritage. And so, if you don't know why we fought any of those wars, then how can you ask the question, well, I think communism or socialism is the right thing to do? Because they have no frame of reference, Zeb. And so if you don't have any frame of reference, you go on what you've heard, based on the bias of whoever's teaching you what it is they have to say. So when you say that the communists think, the young communists like AOC and others think communism is the right standard, if you've never been taught about what happened under communism in Europe and Russia and China and North Korea, if you've never been taught the ramifications, it sounds pretty good to you because it's free college and it's free this and it's free that. I don't have to pay for anything. And so as a result, the lack of understanding becomes more prominent by those who are espousing the socialist or communist theory. So the young people, the AOCs of the world, is 28, 29 years of age. And I'm not defending her, doesn't know any difference. And it's interesting, if you go back in history, you'll find that almost every generation thinks they've got the secret of making socialism work, and they always fail. And this generation is no different.
You know, you brought up a subject that I think I'd like you to enhance a little bit this morning, and that being education. I've heard others say, too, that this generation today of millennials and the way they were brought up, the way that they've been given things and be able to stick out their hand and ask for more and more and more all the time is because they really don't know about the sacrifices and the blood, sweat, and tears created by our forefathers generation upon generation to provide these millennials with the richest country in the world today. How do we turn this bus around, though, Dan? I mean, it sounds like we're in a pretty big rut.
Well, you know, that's an interesting question, because I have a foundation, which we've talked about, Songs and Stories for Soldiers, is designed to help veterans who are fighting post-traumatic stress disorder, sleep deprivation, and suicide. Serious issues. However, we find that there are a lot of people in this country who don't know a veteran. I know that sounds crazy to say it that way, but I look at my own family. I have a brother and 2 sisters, and I have 4 children, 3 of which are married. And of the married in-laws, none of my children, father or mother-in-laws, ever served in the military. And so I'm the only guy in my family for 2 generations that ever served in the military. And so when I started Songs and Stories, some of my children were saying, well, why are you doing that? Because there's a need that needs to be filled. And when people are willing to go to battle, and whether they serve in combat or not is irrelevant, they've decided to serve their country, they've enlisted in the military, and they serve the country. And if they get injured or hurt or killed, they or their families need to be taken care of because of the ultimate sacrifice. But you don't have people who not only have never served in the military, there's an awful lot of people that have never served in community service anywhere in the country. Lots of people have never gone into the Peace Corps or whatever you want to do. They don't understand the order, discipline, and structure of belonging to an organization that tries to do good. Now, there are organizations that are trying to do bad, and that's part of the process. But they have organization, they have structure. We have people, several generations of people who have no order, discipline, and structure. They don't understand. 75% of the people surveyed in this country that don't understand how the government works. They don't understand. They couldn't tell you how a bill becomes a law. They can't tell you about impeachment and what the process is and how complicated. And they don't understand the Constitution, because the Constitution isn't taught anymore in the schools. There are no civics classes, so we don't learn our laws. And so when we don't learn our laws, we make decisions based on what we think should be, as opposed to what the laws are.
Your point is so well taken with me, Dan, and I would carry it one step further, and then I would ask you to either give me a rebuttal or agree with me when you said the non-understanding of our Constitution, the non-understanding of our history, the non-understanding of our forefathers. I think I'd be sticking my neck out and say right now that also extends to our politicians on both sides of the aisle, many of which are ignorant as to the value of what this country went through to give it what it is today.
I would agree with that. I would point out to you a very alarming statistic. I've got a cough. Excuse me. The Democrats are all up in arms about wanting to see and wanting to publish an unredacted version of the Mueller report, and they want a copy of it. Now, maybe our American people don't know this, and it hasn't been highly publicized. But the Justice Department in a controlled room has the entire Mueller report unredacted for legitimate congressmen and senators to come and see and read the report for their own edification. So it's there. They have access to it. So far, in the 3.5 to almost 4 weeks that report has been available for congressmen and senators to view and read, not one Democrat has gone to read it. Not one. Well, how can they comment about something they haven't even seen, and they're talking about they want the unredacted version, yet they have the ability anytime they want to go to the Justice Department and sit down and read the document. So they don't want to, they're not involved. You know, in my first book in the trilogy, Brotherhood of the Red Nile, A Terrorist Perspective, what I wrote was a book from the perspective of a terrorist organization, and I did it to try and help educate the American people of why these people hate us so much that they want to kill us. And you, I can guarantee you, if no Democrats have gone to the Justice Department to look at the Mueller report, I can tell you that very few senators or congressmen from either party has ever read the Quran or Sharia law. They don't understand why these people hate us, yet they make decisions without being totally informed.
You know, the whole thing about this Mueller report. Now, let me ask you this, and I'm asking because I know you have the much more professional knowledge on this than I do. But for the Democrats to go out and now demean and denigrate Attorney General William Barr and make some asinine, jackass comments about locking him up and throwing him in jail because of some of the redactions on this report, it is my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, that many of the people and personalities mentioned in the report that were not indicted, so that their names really should not become public knowledge, if they were to release that, it would open up the report for numerous lawsuits. Am I right or wrong?
Well, it's difficult to sue the government. I'm not saying it's not impossible, but clearly, I would suggest that if the Senator Kennedy yesterday said that his gravest concern is exactly what you're talking about, is that if the Justice Department, which has under the law the responsibility of preserving and protecting the identity of the innocent in this report, if that report is released totally unredacted, he said, I guarantee you within seconds it will be on some website somewhere.
Yes. And
we have violated, as a result, we have violated a trust under the grand jury system to protect the identity of the innocent. And the Democrats would say they would do it because the American people have a right to know. No, they don't. They have a right to be protected under the law. And so I think the idea of letting an unredacted contract or the report to be out there, free and open for everybody to interpret their own way, to me, and puts in hundreds, literally, Zeb, hundreds of good American citizens who try to do their best in jeopardy through the American media.
Where are we going to go with this, Dan? I mean, like I said earlier, you're closer to it than most people with your knowledge on what's happening and what might happen, but we can't continue down this road. This absolute not accepting honesty and not accepting the Mueller report and wanting to dig up more night crawlers under every rock. The American people are suffering. Our business, our government business is suffering. Our security is suffering because of this absolute witch hunt. What about it? When is this thing going to end, or is there any end in sight?
I don't think there is anybody who on planet Earth who can convince the Democrats who are of a mind that Donald Trump stole the election from Hillary Clinton, because she said it again yesterday.
Yep.
That it will ever go away. Just like the election with Bush and Gore, There are still Democrats today who believe that George W. stole the election from Al Gore. So will it ever go away? No. But what's, I think, going to happen, there's a famous person who is a novelist and a political commentator of his time, a gentleman by the name of Will Rogers. And he said to people, if you find yourself in a hole, you better stop digging. The Democrats are in a hole, and they keep digging, and they pay no attention to three things that are going to happen. One, the Inspector General for the Justice Department will issue a report probably within the next 45 days on the abuse of the FISA court system by Democrats, by name, the leaderships of the Justice Department and the FBI, and the involvement of the intelligence agencies. Then after that comes our friend from Colorado who's going to talk about the Hillary emails. And then last, probably after the first of the year, the Attorney General, and this is why they're going after him, he's going to determine whether or not there was a legal basis for which they could spy on the Trump campaign and the Trump presidency. And these three things are coming. The Republicans know it, the Democrats know it and refuse, and they're doing everything to try and distract the country away from the facts as they're coming.
Absolutely. Dan, we have a caller with a question, and caller, I'm going to ask you to go nice and loud, please. You're on the air.
Well, yes, there's more than one. You know, this is a combination of things with the Democrats. I mean, let's face it. When they elected Obama, and then he was reelected, and they thought they were on the way, and they knew for sure that they were going to elect Hillary, and their utopian control was closer than it had ever been, and if they were to have gotten 2 to 3 Supreme Court justices, they could run everything, funnel it right to the Supreme Court, and always win. And everything they thought since World War II, the communists, the socialists have been building toward this point. And it fell apart when we elected Trump. And thank God. And so, yeah, they're at wit's end. It's the halftime, and this playbook is on the ground. There's nobody with any brains left to figure out any kind of offensive moves that make any sense. These people are at their wit's end. And the 2020 election is all that matters to them. And this is all just about that. I'll hang up.
Dan, in response to what he just said, the Democrats are at their wits' end, and do you think that's really true, or do they have enough of the followers in this country because of a liberalized news media that you are concerned about the power that they might try to regain or take over in 2020?
Interesting question, because Nancy Pelosi was kind of cornered over the weekend about how big is the constituency for the three ladies, AOC and the two Muslims.
Right.
And her comment was a handful of people. It's not a significant element in the Democratic Party. Now, I think that what's going on here, and I want to respond to the caller, because I immediately, as I was listening to the caller, he was making a really great point. You know, one of the most precious documents in the world talks about one nation under God. And I believe that Providence brought us Mr. Trump. The risk of where this country was going to go was so bad and so devastating for us if it would have happened. One can only look to the Lord for intervention. You may not like Mr. Trump, you may not like his style and everything else. Set all this aside. Looking what would have happened under Hillary as President of the United States, this country would have been in very, very serious trouble. And so something happened that caused the American people, and it wasn't the Russians influencing the voters, it was the voters being influenced, I believe, by the right thing to do for the country at this point in time. And so they believe they have something. But the problem is they got 22 people running for the presidency. And as as somebody aptly pointed out, they're circling the wagons, but the guns are pointed at each other. This is going to be a bloodbath of picking off the Democratic candidates. And I think I can't tell you who I think the Democratic candidate's going to be. We may not even know yet who it is, but I can believe that they're already sniping each other. And as we get closer to the debates, I have yet to hear anything, and maybe you have. Have you heard anything about the format for the Democratic debates starting next month?
No.
No. Nobody seems to know how they're going to handle 22 people, and there may be more by the time that happens. And do all 22 get a shot? I don't know. So they haven't. I do know that the Democratic National Committee has said that Fox News will have no role in the Democratic debates. And so it's really a situation where we are at a point, and when you think about what's going on, there's continuing discussion about should we impeach Donald Trump. And you impeach the president through a process that's articulated in the Constitution, where the House issues a bill of impeachment. They vote on it. There's a trial where the Senate is the jury, and then the trial is overseen by the Chief Judge of the Supreme Court, the Chief Justice. There are people right now in the Democratic Party who are saying we don't have anything other than our emotion to try and impeach Donald Trump. And based on that, there's no way that the Republicans in the Senate are going to convict him. So why are we wasting our time? That's Pelosi's vision.
Right.
Why are we wasting our time? She said it takes three things to have an impeachment be successful. One, there has to be high crimes and misdemeanors. It has to pass the House and the Senate. But there also has to be a will of the people to want it. Well, right now, Donald Trump's popularity rating is greater than what Barack Obama was for the same period of time, with a press that's 93% against him.
Absolutely. Dan, I want to explain to everybody, it's at the bottom of the hour right now, and normally I would be thanking Dan Perkins for being on the program. Dan, I've got a favor to ask of you. I just got word that United States Senator Mike Crapo is not going to be available for his time slot here this morning, and he's at a banking meeting right now. Would you consent to maybe 5 or 10 minutes over for this segment? Is that all right with you?
I'll do anything I can for you.
I appreciate it. We have a caller with a quick question. Caller, please, you're on the air quickly.
Yes, good morning. Do you feel the way I do that people who want people like Bernie Sanders, socialism and all that, have never experienced socialism or communism in their life?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Because they talk about Venezuela was, when Chavez was there, was the utopia. It was the proof that socialism does work, except when it fell apart. And it fell apart, caller, most people don't know this, but sometime in early 2019, the gross domestic product of the country of Venezuela was not measured in the goods and services that they produce, they import, or they export, but how many pounds the average Venezuelan citizen lost in 2018, over 25 pounds.
Yeah.
Because the country is starving to death. They don't have a reliable source of power and water. They have no money. The oil resources they have are worthless to them because they don't have the ability to process them. They don't have anybody left to process them. So we're seeing what the backside of utopia really is. And as I said earlier in the show, most of the modern prophets for utopia and democratic socialism think that they can do a better job. Everybody else has done it wrong. They are smart enough to figure out that they can do it right.
Dan, I want to go back, if I could, just for a quick second. You mentioned about the election, and you talked about how they're going to do the debates and everything. One person that I did talk to back in Washington, D.C. on last Friday, And he's a very good friend of mine, very astute when it comes to political knowledge. He said his idea would be to take a poll as to how they stand nationally, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 10%, 14%, or whatever the percent is. And if there's 22 candidates based upon their polling, what the public wants as far as, let's say, Bernie Sanders in at 14% or Biden in at whatever percent, and divide the numbers like 11 and 11. The top 11 go in one debate, the bottom 11 go in another debate, and then after those debates are over, have a repolling and do it again, only with a change of numbers. I hope I didn't confuse you in that explanation. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Oh, yeah, that's basically how the Republicans did it when they had 16 candidates
right.
in 2016.
Right.
They took not only was the polling data of who was in the first debate, where you were on the stage was a function of your polling data, too. So Trump was in the middle of the stage because he was the highest vote getter.
Right.
And then back and forth based on the rest of the people. But so I'm very familiar with that concept. That's probably, if I had to guess right now, even though they haven't done anything, I had to guess that this is probably how it's going to be this year. But remember what I said earlier about circle the wagons, but pointing the guns on each other. I expect this not to be a civil. It'll be interesting to watch the Democrats try and deal with the civility that everybody says that the Democrats are more civil than the Republicans. It'll be interesting to see how civil they will be when they start their debates. I think the Democratic Party is literally on the verge of collapsing, and I think that the American people are really are in my opinion, are very tired of always being accused of being a racist, a homophobe, a sexist, misogynistic, and the worst cut of all, in my opinion, you're white.
Well stated. Last question in regards to the Democrats and the Republicans. In my lifetime, and I'm an old man, Dan, but in my lifetime, I never thought that I would see a party that has gone so far to the left on various issues that were absolutely damnable years ago, whether it's the economy, whether it's guns, whether it's Medicare for all, one size fits all, and kind of what kind of a society am I trying to say? The word left me all of a sudden, to where healthcare would be almost null and void. Did you ever expect to see a party go this far left as far as all their possible nominees?
Well, that's another good question, and I can't say that I envisioned there were going to be 22 candidates for the Democratic nomination, because in reality, I think I've asked this question of you before. Which one of those candidates is going to go into the Democratic National Convention? And when the speaker says, we need a volunteer to be the Walter Mondale against Donald Trump, which one of those candidates is going to volunteer to do that? I don't think any of them are going to do that, number one. Number two, I think it's important to understand that a great amount of the emotion and the reaction that the Democrats have demonstrated as far as showing themselves to be the true socialists that they always have been, is that they got caught up in the belief that Robert Mueller was going to get rid of Donald Trump. And so this was, if there was a safe space to really tell the truth about what you believe, Mueller was give them that safe space because Trump was going to be gone. And so they believe they could win the presidential election in 2020. They still believe that. They still keep digging the hole. They don't understand that the American people, many of them have the ability to read, and you've got Horowitz, the Inspector General for the Justice Department, is going to release something in about 45 days or less on the corruption in the FISA process, all Democrats. Then you've got the guy from Colorado who's been looking into the Clinton email situation. He's supposed to come out sometime during the summer. And then the crescendo is going to be Barr proving that, in fact, the Obama administration was, in fact, spying on candidate Donald Trump, releasing private information on individuals, and after he was elected, worked hard and seriously to try and have him removed as president. They are so invested in that story, Zev, they can't seem to see that they're cutting their own throat.
Absolutely.
And so on election night on 2020, they're going to be sitting at the same desk that they sat at in 2016 and say to themselves and to the American public, how is it possible that Donald Trump won again?
Absolutely. You know, Dan, I've never met you. I can't wait someday to shake your hand and buy you a steak dinner. You are a very valued guest on this program, and we appreciate you. Dan Perkins, God bless you. Please come back soon.
Anytime, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. I enjoy having him on the air as much as he can be on the air. As a matter of fact, he's very, very busy. Nationally recognized expert on foreign policy and energy, Dan Perkins, and also quite an author with the Red Nile trilogy. Excellent set of books. Excellent. I've read 2 of them, and I wish him well. Dan Perkins, great, great guy. What happened is this. I just had some messages sent to me about 10 minutes ago, and I don't know if anything was sent over to Wheels. I'll ask him. Wheels, did you receive anything from Washington, D.C. in regards to the cancellation of Senator Crapo?
To be honest, I haven't yet, sir.
I did. They said that he's in a banking meeting. He's on that committee. I know that to be true, and evidently will not be calling in. And I felt bad that you weren't alerted to that fact, but I just got word myself, so I'm sorry we couldn't pass it along to you quickly.
No, that's all right. I just apologize that, he wasn't able to call in and you guys could have your conversation.
That's all right. We're going to try again. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Vicky's Country Garden every Monday at 10:30 during gardening season. The lovely Miss Vicky is on our program. And don't forget Vicky's Country Garden right there on the Burley Paul Highway. Oh, my goodness. She's got everything for your gardening and lawn care and beautification needs right there at Vicky's Country Garden with a program called Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Gardens. Another great sponsor, by the way, please, we don't have a guest this half hour because we had scheduled a full half hour for Senator Mike Crapo. So feel free to call in and we'll talk about anything you want to talk about for the remainder of this half hour. And the numbers, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Oh, my goodness, it's a mattress sellout. Boy, they've got a great big sale on mattresses. Listen to this. Good mattress, only $99 for a twin-size mattress. Are you kidding me? And listen to this. For the best mattress, only $5.99 for a plush or firm queen-size mattress. Well, you'd better jump in the car. Get on down there today and save money and enjoy the comfort from Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. At 459 Overland in Burley, you stop in. And don't forget to check out all the floor coverings, too, at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Real quick, while I have an opportunity, whatever's going around people's voices, I know Dan was having some trouble, and I've been having some trouble with the old throat this week. I must be allergies this time of the year. I feel sorry for anybody that's got allergies, with the trees leaving out and all the budding and everything and all the pollen. I wish you well because I think it's affecting me a little bit right here today too. Don't forget Let's Ride at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. These are really great people and they understand fun. Start right fun. This is where the fun is sold. Absolutely Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. They've got all the four-wheelers. They've got all the side-by-sides. They've got all the accessories crammed into that huge showroom, and they've got something waiting there for you. So check it out today at Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And by the way, if you already have a four-wheeler and you haven't had it serviced yet for this year, hey, call them, get it taken care of today. Let's Ride, where the fun is sold. Really, really good people. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Joy Behar, the woman just absolutely manages to say and do stupid things every single day on that program called The View. And she came out yesterday. I did not see this. I just saw excerpts of it afterwards. And she said that people that wear the United States flag pins on their shirts or their blouses or on their sports jackets, if they are Republican and they support Donald Trump, they should take them off because they are not patriotic if they support Donald Trump. Now, I got to think about that one for a minute because I detest Joy Behar. I proudly wear a lapel flag pin because I love this country. This country has afforded me every opportunity I could ever ask for or pray for. And I wear the flag pin not because of a person. I wear it because of the concept of what a great country America is. And for a person that is extremely evil, in my opinion, Joy Behar, to basically say that I'm feeble-minded in my thinking of patriotism, and if I support Donald Trump, I should not wear a lapel flag pin. What are your thoughts on that? Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I just don't understand the mindset, if there is one, of the left. I don't understand how they can hate this great country, America. I do not understand the likes of Pete Buttigieg, the mayor of in Indiana, that came out and said America was never that great. How would you like to have that gay mayor represent you as president of the United States, knowing that he thought America was never that great? I don't even want him to see the Oval Office unless he buys a tour ticket. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I think I will, on my lapel, on my suit, I always wear the American flag. I think I'll get another one and put it on the other side, too.
Attaboy.
You know, because I love this country just like you do. I've been around 10 years longer than you have, but I seen what happened after World War II and how this country came together to make it great. And it has always been great, except we have some spoilers like Obama, who in my eyes is the worst choice of a president that we've ever picked.
I'm not going to go into a single entity. Yeah, just a minute, though, Keith. I'm not going to go into a single entity or a single person and say that they were the denigration of America. I'm not going to say that. They might have been contributing with their attitude and their personality to make things less than what they should be. I'll go along with that part of it. But I'm going to lump a thought process as the main reason we are where we are today. I'm going to say the negativity against our forefathers, Washington and Jefferson and Madison, etc., is all because of a very liberalized, sleazy education system that has found out that they want to join the liberal left and they want to denounce all the goodness of this country and make it less than what it was. That's who I'm really after right now, because these kids today, they really do not know, understand, and appreciate what you and others before you gave them this great United States.
Yeah, and what I think of the young people looking at this Mayor Pete, you know, if he wants to be gay, that's his privilege. We don't admonish it, but we accept it here in the United States. But when you start pushing it, and you cannot tell me that he is not pushing it because he's married to another man, and he puts his arms around him and hugs him right in public, disgraceful.
Well, the advocacy of what he thinks is normal is not to most Americans and most people and most families. But it's his attitude more so than his actions. His attitude of America was never great. That's his words, not mine. Those are his words. But America was great. America is great. America will be great, but it's not going to be with the denigration of what we're seeing in the Democratic Party. Keith, I got to get a weather on, but I do always appreciate your call. Thank you very much.
Look forward to seeing you.
All right, buddy. Hey, don't forget Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, and they've been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. That's right. The best of tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, financial statement preparation, retirement planning, all of this and really so much more for you, your family, and your business, with 2 offices to serve you, Burley and Rupert. Get a hold of the best and the most professional. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It's going to be another nice day here in the valley, maybe a few thunderstorms by this afternoon. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Looking at partly to mostly sunny skies for today, a little bit on the breezy side. Winds are going to be picking up to about 15 miles an hour. Afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms are a possibility, about a 20% chance. Expecting a high of 68 tonight, 30% chance of showers. Mostly cloudy skies in the overnight hours with a low of 40. By tomorrow, partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 65 with an overnight low of 42. By Thursday, partly sunny skies, high of 62. Looks like close to 70 for Friday. And then as we get on into the weekend, sunny skies, highs are going to be in the mid to upper 70s, possibly 81 by Monday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebedee.
Oh, my goodness. Bring it on. I love those 80s. Thank you very much, Gina. And, of course, the weather brought to you by some really top-notch professional people that know all about accounting services and know all about helping you, your family, and your business. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. You know, one of the things, I'll get into that in a minute, but I'll take my call first. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. That speaker you had on that, Dan, he pretty much covers Behar because she's never had no military experience, or they probably close family members. And, you know, I think the problem we've got today with the generations under or beneath us is they did away with the draft. Nobody had to go in and pay their duties to provide this free country.
Let me ask you something, and I know who this is, my dear friend George. But, George, you and your grandson and others have been highly committed to making sure our educational institutions are much more cognizant and aware of our Pledge of Allegiance and other constitutional rights and values in this country. But you're just one man and one grandson that are fighting for the betterment of our situation in our schools. What are we going to do nationwide? Give me an answer for that.
Just hope somebody will see what's going on here, and I think that might be a good idea and try it. I really think they need to get the draft back. And I'm not saying that they need to go fight battle on that, but just go in and get disciplined and find out just what in the hell America's really about.
I couldn't agree more. George, thank you for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
You bet, buddy. I think he's spot on right. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I just, you listen to these guys like Buttigieg. America was never that great. Why would you say something like that? We have been blessed with the best Constitution. We were blessed by people that stood up to tyranny. And they literally gave their blood, sweat, tears, and their lives to fight for the formation of the United States of America. And we have created so much opportunity for anybody and everybody, not only citizens of this country, but others to come in from all points of the world. It is the beacon of hope for everybody. But we got to have laws and regulations. And yet, for these politicians to denigrate, cut down, and be so negative about what this country is and what it offers, I don't understand how they could run for any office above being a dog catcher. Positive thoughts. I mean, my goodness, our economy is really, really booming right now. Is that a fact? Yes, it is. So the Democrats have to scratch that one off their list. They can't attack Donald Trump on that. Well, we're still going to try to get him on collusion, so we're still going to keep trying. At the same time, nothing gets done for the American public. The Democrats have been dragging their feet in the mud to the point where they're up to their knees right now, and they can't take another step. They are the ones that are creating all the problems. Now, that's not to say that there isn't a lot of dead wood over on the other side of the aisle with the Republicans, because there is. And I maintain that we start clearing out the dead wood and getting new blood in office that's going to work for the American people. Gee, what a novel idea. Hire somebody through the voting process to work for us. Woo! They ought to try that. Don't forget Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this and so much more. How do you do it? How do you find out about it? Well, all you have to do is just call them at 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. They are very dedicated and responsive to your needs. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Real quick story I want to mention to you, and it's sad in some respects. Tiger Woods made a tremendous comeback and won the Masters golf tournament. Tiger Woods' life prior to the winning of the Masters had fallen down into the gutter and became very, very negative. Loss of his family, loss of his marriage, loss of respect, everything. But he built himself back up and came back and fought through a lot of adversity, to which I really admire. And he won the Masters golf tournament, and he was honored by President Trump at the White House. And can you believe the liberal left sleaze, that they are the ones that are throwing up the racist and the bigotry tones? And they said, well, Tiger Woods should have never accepted an award from Donald Trump because of who Donald Trump is. Why, he's a bigot, he's a racist, he's a hater. They're the ones that are spreading all the negativity and the adversity. And there at the podium stood Donald Trump and Tiger Woods. Am I a Tiger Woods fan? Yeah. He came back. He overcame all the problems, much of which he had created himself. Overcame the problems, turned into a better person, and became a champion again. But the left, they can't stand that. Dr. History's coming up in a couple of minutes. Don't turn the dial. We got a couple of birthday wishes. My son-in-law, Nick Cummins' birthday today. Happy birthday, Nick. And Barbara Mathieson in Twin Falls is having a birthday. Barbara, God bless you, and happy birthday to both Nick and Barbara. Today is their birthday. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh my goodness, the music is playing. Why, that must mean that we're back and we shouldn't have been visiting. We should have been paying attention. Oh my goodness. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations, 7 great locations of serving you with the best of tires. Stop in and see them today. And don't forget too, along with the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Want to remind you, too, about Ramsey Heating and Electric and, of course, Lennox Home Comfort Systems. They are offering up to $1,700 in rebates on a new system. Whoa! You better call and find out more. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459. Terms and conditions apply. See the dealer for details. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox. Also, real fast, I want to remind you that on Thursdays we have a wonderful segment called Cache County School Days. And we really appreciate everything our sponsor provides for us at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. You know, they've got all the spring and the summer clothing in. They've got all the baby furniture, and they've got all the games and the puzzles and the toys to keep those kids busy in the back seat as you're going on your vacation. Everything over at a family store. A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley on Thursdays at 10:10, bringing you Cache County School Days. Right now, an old friend, and he is Dr. Ken Turner and Dr. History. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Doing good, yeah.
Well, let's see. I got to remember what did we talk about last week? It wasn't the Klondike. It was, boy, our memories went down there. You were going to do some homework on that, remember?
Well, I forgot. So, I tell so many stories.
You looked at me with the same vague stare I was giving you.
I've told so many stories, sometimes I get them a little mixed up.
Well, I said something, and you said, well, I'll check that out, and I'll give you the answer next week. But now neither one of us, first of all, you don't know what the answer was because we don't know what the story was.
And we don't know the question. So we'll just move ahead, right?
Okay.
So today we're going to talk about Billy the Kid.
Okay.
All right? And I did a story about him, several years ago, but I like this one because this is told first person. Okay. I'll tell you.
Oh.
His girlfriend. Okay.
Well, I'm not going to say too much.
No, okay. Let me get going here.
Okay.
So about 100 years ago, 1923, there was a guy by the name of Walter Noble Burns. He was a 56-year-old Chicago journalist, and he became really fascinated and intrigued by long dead and largely forgotten Billy the Kid.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. But he suspected that his career might make a good story. So in the summer of 1923, Burns traveled to far-off New Mexico, hoping to find maybe some older people that had known the kid. And actually, the biggest catch he got was a woman by the name of Paulita Maxwell Jaramillo. Oh, okay.
Jaramillo. Yeah.
Okay. I know it was Joaquin we did last week. That's right.
Joaquin Murrieta.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I hope I'm saying that right. It's Jaramillo.
I think it's Jaramillo.
Jaramillo.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was able to find her, and he returned to Chicago. He had some articles, some stories, and these kind of got lost and actually turned up in some of these manuscripts in 2017. So these stories had been kind of hidden or lost for a long time.
May I ask a question there?
Okay.
What town was it in New Mexico
It was Fort Sumner.
Fort Sumner, where Billy was supposedly shot. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, had her and her family resided there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you how they kind of came together here.
All right.
But she knew Garrett and Billy the Kid.
Sheriff Pat Garrett.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and this article goes on, it says that, Garrett was a brave, he was an efficient officer, he was the kind of man that the times and the country needed. When he became sheriff of Lincoln County, the county was probably the most lawless section in the Southwest at that time.
Okay.
Now, Billy the Kid was just the opposite. He stood for lawlessness and outlaws as much as Garrett stood for the law.
Did he really? I hate to keep interrupting you. No, I don't. But Billy, he had a lot of values, though, and he was very loyal to the people that he worked for.
Right. Yeah. And like I say, this is going to be from her words, her interview.
Okay.
So I think I really like this one. But, when Pat Garrett snuffed out his life at Fort Sumner, Billy the Kid was 21 years old. He was popularly supposed to have killed 21 men, a man for every year of his life. But both Billy the Kid and Sheriff Pat Garrett made history in New Mexico. And many years ago, if you were to drop by Fort Sumner, New Mexico, you would find this Mrs. Polita Jaramillo.
Just call her Mrs. J.
Mrs. J. And in 1881, she was just a young girl, 18 years old, when Pat Garrett killed Billy the Kid in her house. Okay, and I'll tell you how that happened. So Mrs. Jaramillo, neighbors in Fort Sumner, repeated the tale that she and Billy the Kid planned to elope on horseback to Mexico on the night following that on which Billy the Kid was killed. So that's kind of the rumor that was going around.
And that was in 81.
Yeah, 1881.
Yeah.
But Billy the Kid once said, "I'm going to Fort Sumner to see my sweetheart if it costs me my life." Now, Mrs. Jaramillo, will tell the details of this old romance. Okay, quote, "That old story," she said, "has been going the rounds for more than 40 years, but it is not true. Billy the Kid and I were good friends, and that was all. If I had loved him and he had wanted me, I would have married him, no matter what he had done or what the world might have thought. But neither of us ever dreamed of love or marriage, and the story of our planned elopement is absurd. Strange as it may seem, Billy the Kid actually fascinated many women, and his record as a heartbreaker was kind of a famous record. He was well liked. I mean, there's a lot of.
And he was a homely kid too.
Well, he wasn't that good looking, but he must have had a great personality, right?
Yeah, it's your story.
Okay, so anyway, she goes on to say, she said that he had at various times 3 sweethearts in Fort Sumner. One of them, I am told, is now a respected matron in Las Vegas. Another had a daughter who lived to be 8 years old, whose striking resemblance to the famous outlaw, who knows.
Yeah.
The third and the last was Mrs. Jaramillo, the one that he went and ended up getting killed.
I see.
So here's what she says again. I'm going to quote. "I remember," she said, "the first day Pat Garrett ever set foot in Fort Sumner. It was in February 1879, and he came to our home to ask Pete Maxwell, my brother." Now, keep that in mind. Pete Maxwell is her brother, and he's going to play a part later on here. He asked Pete Maxwell, my brother, for a job as a cowboy. He was fresh from the Texas Panhandle, where he had made a living hunting buffaloes. I was a little girl and stood behind my brother on the porch with my finger in my mouth and stared at him. He was the tallest man I'd ever seen and had the longest, funniest legs. His clothes were worn and weather-stained, and the queerest part of his makeup was a pair of hairy buffalo-skinned leggings. But this scarecrow man had a twinkle in his gray eyes and good humor in his drawling voice, and he smiled his way into a job. He worked on the range for my brother until Pete had a disagreement with him and fired him. Okay, so Pete's the brother. Okay. Now, she goes on, she says, after that, Garrett opened a restaurant in Fort Sumner and later went on to be a partner with a guy named Beaver Smith in a store and a saloon. He liked a social glass of whiskey every so often and was a great hand to play poker and Monte, and the men used to like to play with him because he usually lost. Pete and he made up their differences, and many an evening Garrett spent in our home spinning yarns about his adventures on the buffalo ranges. He was a free-handed, easygoing sort of man, and everybody liked him. Now, I didn't know that about him. I didn't know he was, that friendly of a guy.
Yeah.
So she goes on. She says, now, Billy the Kid and his band were at the height of their career as outlaws then. They made Fort Sumner their headquarters and were in town and gone again every little while, usually with their pockets full of money. She says, Garrett became good friends with all these guys. He ate and drank and played cards with Billy the Kid, went to dances with him.
Yeah, I have a question there. The law in Fort Sumner. Now, was there a wanted poster out on Billy the Kid so that the law basically turned a blind eye and a deaf ear?
I don't know. It's kind of fuzzy right in there because they were outlaws, but I don't know if they were actually wanted at that time or even knew that's who he was. But like I say, they became good friends. She says, I have seen them both more than once down on their knees around a blanket stretched on the ground in the main street, gambling their heads off, as they say, against a Monte game. If Pat went broke, he borrowed from Billy, and if Billy went broke, he borrowed from Pat.
Really?
So these guys, I didn't realize they had such a close relationship.
But, there was a relationship that they showed even in the movies. Some of the movies which depended a lot on fiction, like Young Guns and Young Guns 2, which was about Billy the Kid. Yeah. They always had the insert of Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid being friends at one time.
Yeah. She goes on, she says, sometimes they engaged in friendly shooting contests. Both were crack shots. It was a toss-up between them when it came to the rifle, but the Kid was the better shot with the revolver. He was a six-shooter specialist, and at quickness in drawing his weapon, at the same time shooting accurately, no man in the country was his equal. So, again, I'm quoting a lot from her because this is kind of her story. She says, the point I'm making is that in those days, the two were as thick as peas in a pod. There was probably not a man in Fort Sumner whom the Kid regarded as a better friend than Pat Garrett. And she just goes on, she says, I knew these guys really well, and, they would go to these dances, and the girls liked to dance with both of them. They were, good.
I'm trying to get kind of a timeline here. This is 1881 when Billy was shot and killed.
Right, so we're talking about 3 years before this.
Okay, so let's say about 1879, and this girl, this Mrs. J at that time, would have maybe been around Billy's age?
Well, by the time this time came around, she was 18.
Okay.
So she's only maybe 15 when she first saw
And then the
Billy.
guy that wrote this interview with her found her in 1927.
1923.
23.
So by then she was, probably
about
60,
40-something
years old, yeah.
Yeah.
So he got straight from her, the story.
Okay.
So that's, again, why I like this. But she also says, quote, Billy the Kid, let me tell you, cut quite a gallant figure at these jolly dances with his smiling, boyish good looks. So then she goes on, Pat Garrett, married twice during 2 years in Fort Sumner. In 1880, Garrett moved to Roswell and was elected by John Chisholm and the cattle interests, sheriff of Lincoln County. And then that goes into the whole story about Lincoln County, and I'm not going to go into that right now. Yeah. But Chisholm at that time was the largest individual cattle owner in the Southwest. He had been a friend of Billy the Kid until Billy kind of started becoming an outlaw and stealing beef. Anyway, so she goes on. She says, Tom Folliard, was the first to die. Garrett had the word that Billy the Kid was coming into Fort Sumner to attend so this is now when they're after him. Okay? So now Pat Garrett is after Billy the Kid. Okay. Are we okay?
Yeah, 1881.
Yeah, so we moved ahead a little bit here. So she says Tom Folliard, one of Billy's guys, was the first to die. Garrett had words the Kid was coming into Fort Sumner to attend a big Christmas dance. This was 1880. With a posse of 15 men, Garrett rode into town. They put up their horses in my brother Pete's barn and hid themselves in an old military hospital. About 11 o'clock at night, one of their sentinels ran in with the announcement that Billy the Kid was coming. They rushed out to see 5 horsemen approaching through the darkness. Hands up, shouted Garrett. 4 of the riders wheeled and galloped off in a shower of bullets from Garrett's men. Folliard, mortally wounded, cried, "Don't shoot anymore, I'm killed." He slid from the saddle into the arms of Garrett. And here's what she says. She says, I heard all this as my mother and I were sitting at home. So she was right there. She says they carried the dying man inside. For a long time, I could still hear his muffled groans and curses. Then his voice began to grow fainter, and at last there was silence. Now, Garrett and his posse struck north to round up the others. The four who had escaped were Charlie Beaudry, Billy Wilson, Tom Pickett, and Dave Rudabaugh. And Billy.
Right.
But the fugitives took refuge in an old stone house, and this is the part that is pretty well known. Garrett's posse surrounded this stone house. When dawn came, Garrett and 3 others lay in ambush in a ravine 30 feet from the door. Beaudry stepped out to feed his horse, and he had on Billy the Kid's hat, and Garrett, in the dim light, thought it was Billy the Kid.
Why did he have on Billy's hat?
That was a mistake. He probably was asking himself. So, I don't know, probably just handy, I don't know. Anyway, he shot him. Garrett shot him. Beaudry ran back inside, fatally wounded, and the posse heard Billy the Kid say, "You're as good as dead, Charlie. Go out and see if you can't kill one of those fellas."
I bet that's what he said. You changed the verbiage a little bit.
This is a family show.
I know.
So, dying, Beaudry obeyed orders. He staggered outdoors. He murmured, I wish. Then he fell dead. So I don't know what he was wishing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Garrett and his men killed the band's horses that were out in front of the house. They took away the only chance of escape. Cold, hungry, worn out, the Kid surrendered late in the afternoon. The Kid was tried in March in Mesilla for the murder of Sheriff William Brady in the Lincoln County War and sentenced to die on the gallows on May 13th. Now, Deputy Sheriff Bob Olinger, who was himself an outlaw, and a guy named J.W. Bell were guarding Billy. Okay, he's in jail now. And here's what Jaramillo says about that. Quote, "There are many versions of what happened. I'll tell you the true one. At noon one day, Olinger, one of the guards, went across the road to the old Murphy Hotel for dinner, leaving Billy alone with Bell. Billy seemed in high spirits. Well, amigo, he said to Bell, only a few more days left for me. Let's have a game of Monte. Bell, who was a good-hearted man, agreed just to humor him. He dealt out the cards on a table, Billy sitting on the edge of the table with his hands and legs still manacled, so he's got chains on his hands and feet. He joked and laughed as he played. Suddenly, as if by accident, he knocked a card on the floor. Bell reached down to pick it up, and when he straightened up with the card, he was looking into the muzzle of his own six-shooter that Billy had snatched from its scabbard. I don't want to kill you, Bell, Billy said. You've been a good to me. Step into that next room, and I will lock you up. But Bell turned and ran out the door, and Billy killed him as he started down the stairs. The hole made by the bullet that passed through Bell's heart is still in the wall in the old courthouse.
Wow.
Okay, we still got time. I'm going to try to get through all of her stuff here. So she says, hearing the shot, Olinger came running across the road. Billy caught up the shotgun that Olinger had loaded with buckshot for Billy and stepped to a window. When Olinger was just beneath him, Billy stuck his hat out and said quietly, "Hello, Bob."
That was in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, Bob.
Hello, Bob.
Not a good sign. So as Olinger looked up, Billy riddled him with both barrels. Then he threw the gun crouching down on his body, and that was probably the happiest moment of the kid's life. I can't imagine, but that's what she says. She continues, she says, Billy armed himself with 2 six-shooters and a Winchester. He filed off the chains on his hands and feet. None of the townspeople came to investigate. They guessed what had happened and stayed discreetly in their homes, leaving Lincoln's one street silent and deserted. He swung himself on a pony. He rode out of town in an easy gallop, his rifle across his saddle, whistling a little tune. So she continues in her story. She made the comment that it was foolish for Billy the Kid, escaped from the shadow of the galleys, to go to Fort Sumner where he might have known Garrett would hunt for him the first thing.
Sure.
He should have headed for the Mexican border, she said, once across which he would have been safe. But to Fort Sumner he rode as straight as a bird can fly, she said. To see his sweetheart and to meet his fate, Garrett heard he was hiding there. So, on the night of July 14th, Garrett came to Fort Sumner with 2 deputies, Kip McKinney and John W. Poe. So she continues with the story. They hitched their horses in a peach orchard at the edge of town and stole through the streets in the shadows of the houses to our home. Now remember, this is her brother, Pete.
Maxwell.
Yeah. So Poe and McKinney sat on the edge of the porch while Garrett stepped into Pete Maxwell's bedroom to question my brother about the kid's hiding place. So, she continues, the kid at that moment was not more than 30 yards away in the house of a guy by the name of Gutierrez, which was actually Pat Garrett's brother-in-law. Anyway, he had come in a few minutes before from a sheep camp, tired and hungry. He took off his boots, coat, and hat, and flinging himself down on bed, asked Gutierrez's wife to cook him something to eat. And so she gave him some tortillas and coffee and gave him a butcher knife and told him to go over to Pete Maxwell's house and cut some meat from the carcass of a bit.
You better quit while you're ahead. Let's rewind that and start over.
Cut some meat from the carcass of a beef butchered the day before.
Sounds good this time.
And hanging on the north porch.
Boy, your face is red.
Oh, okay. Thanks, folks. Okay, so here we go. So bareheaded, hatless, coatless, with a butcher knife in his hand and his .41 caliber revolver in his belt, Billy started across a little open space to our house. Now, concealed behind a little fence, Poe and McKinney, the other two deputies, saw him coming through the moonlight. They thought he was one of Pete's sheep herders. When the kid opened the gate and stepped on the porch, he almost stumbled over the two deputies. Out came his gun as quick as a flash, and he said, "Who are you?" he asked, covering them. And they said, "Needn't be afraid," Poe said to what they still thought was a sheep herder. "Nobody's going to hurt you." Well, the kid, keeping his revolver leveled, backed across the porch into the open door of Pete's room.
Uh-oh.
All right. The room was dark. Pete lay in a bed in a corner. Garrett sat at the head of the bed in a chair against the wall. Coming in out of the bright moonlight, the darkness for a moment blinded the kid. He stepped to the side of the bed, so close to Garrett he could have touched him, and said to Pete, "Who are those fellows outside?" Pete did not answer. The kid caught a sudden glimpse of Garrett's shadowy figure. He sprang back quickly and covered Garrett with his gun. Garrett answered with his six-shooter, and the kid fell dead in the middle of the floor with a bullet through his heart. There's still more, Zeb. Do we have time?
Let me finish. 2 minutes.
Okay. She said, "I was asleep in an upper room and I was awakened by the noise. I rushed downstairs to the porch where I found Garrett, Pete, and the two deputies standing in a hushed, excited group. Not a sound came from the room, but no one would venture in for fear the kid might not be dead. If only a spark of life were left, he might be dangerous." She says, "I brought a lighted candle and, keeping in the shelter of the wall, reached out an arm and placed the candle in the windowsill, and it lighted the inner part of the room. And they went in and found that he was dead. So they carried the body into a deserted storeroom. They had a funeral, and a lot of the people loved Billy the Kid, and so it was one of the biggest funerals they had. So there's 5 things that could have been if Poe and McKinney could have killed him. Number 2, the kid could have killed Poe and McKinney. Number 3, the kid could have killed Garrett. Number 4, if Garrett had spoken, the kid would have recognized him. And number 5, the kid did not fire a shot. So, and it goes on to explain what would have happened of those different scenarios that could have happened, which would have obviously changed the whole scenario.
I know we're almost out of time, and I want you to respond to this quickly, but doesn't it surprise you as a historian, and especially somebody that just loves Western history and all these stories, whether it's Billy the Kid or whether it's Jesse James, whatever, we really don't know.
You know, and I like this because this was an interview done by a journalist clear back in 1923, almost 100 years ago.
But you know, when you look at other history like Custer's Last Stand and all this other stuff that's in the history books, we still don't really know about Billy the Kid and some of these others.
That's why I like journals, diaries, first-person accounts. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
I got to run, but that was really interesting. You know what we ought to do, and here's your homework assignment that I hope you're.
I'll forget it by the time
we ought to look at the personalities that rode with him, especially that Arkansas Dave Rudabaugh. Interesting person.
You know what? I think I've done a story on him.
I think you did, but I'd like to hear that one again.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find that.
All right. Hey, by the way, Dr. History, thank you very much. Every Tuesday right here on Zeb at the Ranch at 10:06. I want to remind you, too, about Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Curtis, Lorena, the rest of the crew. My goodness, they got everything. They've got everything for your electronic needs. Stop in today and see them. They've got the home theater systems, all the TVs, the Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, etc., all the car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems. Why, they've even got towing hitches for your vehicle. My, stop in and see them today. Monday through Saturday, they're open 9 to 6. Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Right now, we're going to send it over to our main studio. We'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, man, I tell you what, always look forward to a great discussion with Dr. History, and this morning it was about Billy the Kid. What really might have happened? History doesn't really know, if you want to know the truth. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and I've been looking forward to having this gentleman on my program all this week. His name is Noah Wall. He's the National Director of Campaigns, and he works with a great organization called Freedom Works. Good morning, Noah. How are you?
I am wonderful. It's great to be on.
Well, give us a little background about Noah Wall, what you do, and a little bit more about Freedom Works. Tell my audience.
Absolutely. So we at Freedom Works are a national grassroots organization that focuses on limited government, free markets, and the rule of law. So we're a community of about 5 million activists around the country, everywhere from Idaho to Maine, and anywhere in between, who focus on keeping Congress accountable, making sure that we let people know what's going on in Washington, D.C., making sure that we act on that information and try and head off bad legislation and advance ideas that'll make us a more prosperous country for our children and grandchildren.
Okay, now, Noah, I'm going to say this, and please do not be offended by this statement, but it looks like we need about 1,000 more Freedom Works to hold Congress accountable. What they're doing right now is nothing. They're not doing a thing for the American people as serving us that are their constituents. They're not valuing their job at all. Would you agree or disagree?
Absolutely, I'd agree. I think that what we need in Washington, D.C. is a wake-up call. You know, these members of Congress across the country are operating on autopilot. They are spending money that we do not have. I mean, really what they're doing is stealing money from our children and grandchildren and racking up a massive bill that we're unable to pay with China. And what they're doing is unconscionable. And yeah, we need your listeners, and we need people around the country to wake up and to actually take action to make sure that we are getting Congress. Because at the end of the day, when members of Congress, the only real leverage we have over them is the ability to vote them out of office. And when we have members of Congress who, are not taking the proper action, we need to go ahead and, we need to vote them out. We need to primary them where need be, and we need to make sure that we are doing everything we can to hold them accountable. But you're absolutely right. We need 1,000 more Freedom Works out there.
Let me ask you a favor, if I could, Noah. You're on a cell phone, and I'm going to ask you, please, to hold it as still as possible. We're having a little bit of waving on the reception, if you would, please. I want to ask you, are you an advocate? I have turned into a real strong advocate of term limits. Does your organization believe that might be one of the roads to making it more successful for us, is to adopt term limits?
Absolutely. I think that adopting term limits would be a huge. I think it would be a very positive thing for the country. The hard part is getting term limits imposed, and what we don't support is unilaterally disarming. And what I hate is losing members of Congress who self-impose term limits out of principle, but then end up retiring while all of the crony capitalists in Washington, D.C. Stay on for 40, 50 years in Congress. But mandatory term limits are something that Freedom Works has supported and will continue to support going forward, because that's the only way that I can see that you get these guys out of there before they turn full swamp, if you get my meaning.
Absolutely. Let me throw a couple of things at you, Noah, because you're a very interesting person with your philosophy of Freedom Works and what you think needs to be done. I am scared. I'm an old man, but I'm very, very afraid of the Democrats and the left proposal for a one-size-fits-all Medicare program, which in my opinion, and I think I'm right, as a matter of fact, I know I'm right, would be the ruination of health care in this great United States, and it would also create a hemlock society of death and mayhem within the confines of our medical industry, to the point where a lot of people wouldn't get the coverage. A lot of people would just be allowed to go die. What are your thoughts in comparison to what I just said?
I think you're absolutely right, and I think that actually happens now in Europe. And I think that a lot of people mistakenly think that Europe has great health care, and they do not. In fact, the worst thing you can do in Great Britain is get cancer at the end of the year, because they operate on a state-mandated budget for the entire country. And if you get diagnosed with cancer in October or November, you don't get, and they frequently spend their budget by September, you're out of luck until January, February when they get the New Year's budget in. This actually happens. And what's going on right now is you have situations where people are dying because they are not given the quality of care. Because if you have what essentially are death panels, people will decide you might be 65 years old and you might get cancer, and they might say, well, we could save you, but it'll cost $2 million. Well, we could spend that $2 million saving 50 people who have a less complicated disease to treat. Those are the types of decisions that you get when you start dealing with socialized medicine. So you're absolutely right on that. We cannot have that happen. That could be one of the worst things that could happen to this country.
Well, yeah, but the problem is, Noah, and I think you'll concur with me, is that this seems to be the mantra of the left, whether it's Kamala Harris, whether it's Cory Booker, whether it's wild-haired Bernie Sanders, whether it's any of these that want to become president. They seem to be almost in lockstep and in uniform of saying Medicare one size fits all. That's got to scare you to death.
It should scare you to death. It should scare all of your listeners to death. What they have is, what they are pushing, Medicare for all means choices for none. What they are proposing is eliminating your ability to have free market health. It's not just giving you the option. It used to be that the public option was what they pushed for. That was what Obamacare was designed to set up, was government-run health care for anyone who wanted it. What they're talking about, Medicare for all, is eliminating private health care. Now, I'll tell you what, I like my health care. A lot of Americans like their health care because they like their individual doctor, they like the people that they know who they receive treatment from. But I'll tell you what, you get Medicare for all, you're going to drive the best doctors out of business. They're going to retire. You're going to have a situation where you are mandated. You're going to have wait lists to go in to see a physician. This is the type of thing that will result in people dying across the country. The left has bad ideas, but the problem is their ideas kill people. You absolutely need to be terrified.
I would go one step further with one other little caveat into what you said, and I'm in total agreement with what you said, but I think also with the adaptation of a Medicare plan, one size fits all, you would see a complete destruction of medical research at major universities for cancer research, any kind of major disease, because the money would not be there.
Yeah, well, this is happening right now, and it's actually something that, unfortunately, even certain parts of the Trump administration are trying to do, which is they're trying to implement it, get the United States to participate in these international price controls that exist in Europe. What they're trying to do is say that the most that a drug company can charge for a prescription drug would be X, which that sounds good, right? We all want lower prescription drug prices, but the problem is if you make it unprofitable for drug companies to produce drugs, they'll stop researching new drugs.
That's right.
And if that happens, think of all of the diseases that we're on the verge of curing. We are getting really close on certain cancers, being able to treat certain cancers very effectively. We are getting really close to treating a lot of chronic diseases. None of those treatments that are on the horizon for a 10 to 20-year window from now that we're on the verge of curing. Think of all the lives that could be saved. If we if we shut down the drug companies' ability to make a profit, which, let's be honest, we are a free market system. We should be in this country because we want people to get rich off of saving lives. We want that. That is a good thing. And we are on the verge right now of adopting Europe-style socialism when it comes to drug pricing that's going to just stop. The United States is the world engine of medical prescription drug research. Yeah, a lot of prescription drugs are very expensive, but I'll tell you what, it's better to have an expensive drug than to have no drug option at all. And we do need to do free market reforms that are going to lower prescription drug prices across the board. And
absolutely.
There's a lot of options out there for how to do it. Frankly, what we ought to be doing is bullying Europeans to get rid of their price controls, because that'll actually spread the cost out across America and Europe and lower prices for everyone, increase research, save lives, which is what we need to be doing when we talk about healthcare policy.
There's another issue that I want to have you talk about this morning, and I've got a lot of bitterness. I mean, real strong bitterness against the government and politicians that wear the three-piece suits and the wingtip shoes, and they automatically get together in the halls of Congress and they say, oh, well, we'll just raise the price of gasoline with another huge, enormous gas tax, and then we'll go ahead and fund infrastructure. Stop. Right there. If you're going to raise anything on gas taxes, on gasoline or diesel, and you tell me that you're going to have that fund created so that it goes strictly to infrastructure, I'm going to tell you, Mr. Politician, you are a liar and I don't trust you. Because in the past, we've seen those funds pilfered and going to other frivolous projects around the United States. Would you agree or disagree?
This is a pet peeve of mine. I think that the idea that we need more money for infrastructure is insane. We have plenty of money for infrastructure right now. The problem is we're spending it on insane projects. Absolutely insane projects. So I live in Northern Virginia, one of the biggest metropolitan areas of the country, and the roads are in terrible condition. The roads just outside our nation's capital are in abysmal condition because what they are doing is revamping the metro system. They're building bike lanes. They are building bike lanes right in the middle of major streets. They're building bus lanes that basically go empty all day while everyone else is clogged up in traffic. What they are doing is spending infrastructure money on pet projects. This is a scandal that broke a couple of years ago. The going price for a new bus stop in the District of Columbia is $1 million for a bus stop. The problem is not money. The problem is they're spending money on projects that no one uses. The biggest the biggest thing that gets people around in this country is cars. And we need to be spending money on roads, on bridges that people will use, not on projects not on bike lanes that end up being empty all day. We need to be spending money on infrastructure projects that get people from point A to point B cheaply and safely, and that's what we need to be doing. We do not need more money for infrastructure in this country. That is a lie that is being perpetuated by people who want to get rich off of these new $2 trillion infrastructure spending. All it is a plan to get government contractors a lot of money.
Yeah, but Noah, where are we on this debate? And I'm really concerned that the Trump administration is going to weaken and kowtow to other powers, especially Schumer and Pelosi. And if they attach another 25 to 35 cents a gallon gas tax, everything with reciprocity in the other states saying the state tax has got to go up and everything, you're going to see a tumble of our economy that is now growing and prosperous because people that have have to use the roads and drive to make a living, they're going to be cutting back, and you're going to see a stymieing of all the goodness that we've had created in the last 24 months.
You're absolutely right. What we need to do, and I'm going to be honest, I think there's a good chance of making sure that this transportation bill doesn't pass. We need this infrastructure, this spending bill needs to not pass, because what we need to do is continue this job growth, continue this economic boom that we've got right now. We are right now in the midst of the best economy in the history of America in terms of job growth, in terms of low unemployment. We need to keep that going because Americans are not paid enough. Americans do not earn enough money, and the way to do that is through growth, not through falsely hiking up people's wages.
That's right.
Through minimum wage hikes. We need to win through prosperity. You can solve all of our nation's problems by increasing the size of the economic pie, and that's what Donald Trump is doing. He has made so many millions of lives so much better by what he's doing, and we need to just save this country's economy by making sure that we spend less and we don't enact projects that will absolutely take the economy. You could not be more right on that.
Oh, thank you very much. Right now we have a caller with a quick question. Wheels, watch the feedback a little bit, buddy, please. Caller, you're on the air quickly. I've only got about 4 minutes left.
Yes, there's all these concerns about what doctors charge. What about these lawyers? It's open season. They can sue for anything. They take in 60-70% of a settlement. How many of them people end up on the public dole because of damn lawyers taking so much? You cannot have any kind of reform, basically, unless lawyers are included. Seems like they can get away with any damn thing.
I'll have him respond to that on the air. You know, he brings up a good point, Noah. Would you please answer him, please?
Absolutely. I think it's terrible. I think the justice system should be used only in extreme circumstances. If a serious law was broken, I think that we need reforms that if frivolous lawsuits are brought up, the people who engage in them need to pay the damages. This is not something that ordinary people should be able to go through their entire life without ever having to go into a court system. That's just what needs to happen. And, that's what we need to do is make sure that the court system is used for far too much in this country. That needs to be reduced. If a serious crime has been committed, that is what the court system is for, not for engaging in petty disputes and for frivolous lawsuits. I could not agree more.
I think you will agree with me, Noah, that, and I'm not far-fetched or out in right field as an extreme right-winger when I say I'm an old man, and in my lifetime I've seen so many of the rights and the freedoms and the laws infringed upon our freedoms in this country. And if we don't stand up now, it's going to be too late to save the boat from sinking. Would you agree or disagree?
I think that we are not there yet. I think that we can still save the republic. I think that we have, particularly, it may sound trite to say because there are social problems in this country. We have problems on every single facet of this country. But ultimately, if we can keep the economy growing, if we can keep people prosperous, we can fight back against all of these socialist policies that the Democrats are pursuing, and we can be successful. I believe that fundamentally to be true, and I think that we can be successful, and I want to leave your listeners with a positive note in that I believe that the future of this country is more freedom, and I think that will happen. And I think that what's going to happen over the next couple of decades is you're going to see a wholesale rollback of these horrible policies. I think at the end of the day, it may not seem like it, but what Donald Trump's doing is leading this country in a freer, more prosperous direction.
Absolutely. There's only one promise I want you to make, and that's to come back in the future. Noah, I've really enjoyed our conversation.
I enjoyed it as well. I hope to come back soon.
Thank you very much, Noah Wall, the Vice President of Advocacy for Freedom Works. Excellent interview. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, we will have him back on the program. I guarantee it. Right now, I also guarantee that we're going to have a weather forecast, and the weather is brought to you by our dear friends at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, the telephone number to call Don and the crew, 324-7657, or you can go to the website, scarrowsmeats.com. They absolutely have all the delicious meats. Maybe you're going to be having a family gathering or a family reunion, or there's graduation right around the corner, and you're going to have a whole bunch of people coming over. They've got all the marinated pork ribs, and they got the tri-tips, everything. It's delicious. And don't forget, too, all the breakfast sausages and the bratwurst. Oh, my. Great, great meats from Scarrows Meats. Right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
It's going to be another nice day here in the valley, maybe a few thunderstorms by this afternoon. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Looking at partly to mostly sunny skies for today, a little bit on the breezy side. Winds are going to be picking up to about 15 miles an hour. Afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms are a possibility, about a 20% chance. Expecting a high of 68 tonight, 30% chance of showers. Mostly cloudy skies in the overnight hours with a low of 40. By tomorrow, partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 65 with an overnight low of 42. By Thursday, partly sunny skies, high of 62. Looks like close to 70 for Friday. And then as we get on into the weekend, sunny skies, highs are going to be in the mid to upper 70s, possibly 81 by Monday. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. And don't forget our great sponsor of the weather this hour, and that's, of course, Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrows Meats. You know, they put a lot of time and a lot of effort into making sure you get the best and most delicious of meats. And like I said, don't forget, call them and tell them any kind of a project or family gathering or reunion, whatever you've got planned, they can help, they will help. At Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. That number, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Oh, my goodness. Excellent program with a lot of great people on today. And tomorrow, more great folks. We're going to have an attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation on the air, along with Dave Bego from Indianapolis, Indiana. Gregory Wrightstone. I absolutely am looking forward to our interview with Gregory Wrightstone tomorrow regarding the idiocy and the imbecilic actions of those on the left trying to stuff climate change down our throats, to the tune of even belittling and demeaning and pushing man into the background, into obscurity. We're going to be talking about that with Gregory tomorrow. And then also David Horowitz, excellent political writer, is going to be on the program at 10:30. So we've got some big nationally known people coming on the program tomorrow. Don't you miss it. Want to remind you, too, that your Magic Valley Schwab Tire Centers. Wow, they do a great job in making sure that you get the best of tires for your vehicle, whether it's your car, your pickup, your SUV, or your horse trailer, boat trailer, whatever. Make sure that if you're going someplace, you've got the best of tires, the best of tread designs. They've got all the sizes, and many, many, many of these tires right now are on sale. You can save a lot of money and drive safely. Check it out today at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And don't forget, too, the very best in brake service, front-end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, all of this and more. But service reigns supreme with your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent, the new man, over on Overland in Burley. You better believe it, the best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow, great program today. Oh, a quick note here, coming up on, and this is an advance notice, on Saturday, June 1st, it's going to be the 5th annual Idaho Roll Call Memorial Ride, and it's going to start at 7th and Scott Street in Rupert, and then they're going to have the program for the Idaho Roll Call Monument, and that's going to be at 1 p.m. Don't forget that. A lot of great people are going to be involved in it, including, I understand the governor is going to try to to come down for that also, Brad Little. So we'll be telling you more as the days go along. Right now, we're going to remind you that we always say at the end of the program, the way things were are the way things ought to be, and the world needs more cowboys. We certainly hope you'll tune in tomorrow morning at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch, God bless you and your family, and have a great day.